Stephen,
Andrew.
would you like to spend a quiet night inside number 9?
Of course.
I see what you did there.
Thanks, mate.
Last gasp. So we're going into the script book of season 1, episode... What's this? Episode 4, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, I have something just to sort of kick us off with, just to set the scene.
Have you?
Yeah, I do.
What is it?
It's a poem.
Oh.
It goes like this.
Is it Spike Milligan
Of course
again?
it is. Yeah.
Oh.
I saw a purple balloon capture a girl one day. He would not let her go. For heaven he strove to take her, but she was too heavy. So he stayed earthbound to prove his love, until 100 years later that night, he died with a bang. The little girl cried, for never again would she find such a pure love.
In case you don't believe us, that is genuinely a Spike Milligan poem, and this is becoming weird. And I'm starting to wonder whether this whole television series was built around a collection of Spike Milligan poems.
Wow.
Because that's uncanny.
It's uncanny, isn't it?
Well, the fact it says purple balloon.
And a girl.
And a girl. But then it talks about the girl nearly dying. Was there a...
He died. Who died? The balloon died. The balloon... I mean, let's not overthink it, but I think it's completely relevant in every way.
The fact there's a poem about a purple balloon is ridiculous.
And a little girl. So, yeah.
Welcome to Extra-National Cul-de-sac Day. Yes. That well-known day of the year.
And here we are in a cul-de-sac in Middle England. We all knew it was Middle England.
We did.
Recognised it.
Called that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was thinking as I was kind of rewatching this, reading along, I love the concept of an episode around a balloon. And, you know, I guess we talked about it. Oh, and we should just say, if this is your first time listening, then we recommend going and listening to the reaction episodes before listening to these script book episodes, because we are trying to avoid talking about the obvious stuff that we talked about first time round. So, although I say that because I'm about to say something I think I talked about first time round.
I'm glad that you're calling yourself out on it before you do it. It's very self-aware. Well done.
Man. It was, I just love the concept of, because the tension around a balloon that is, you know, filled with Frankie Parsons' dying breath. It's a tense situation, and I like it as a concept. Any thoughts reading as you read?
Any thoughts reading whilst watching? There was not an incredible amount of difference here between what went down into the book or what went down to the original script and what was filmed. I did notice there were some changes around the showing of the body and the direction for it and what we actually saw. Mm-hmm. I don't really know why.
What was that? I think I missed.
So there were things like they took out glimpses of his body. If you look at the script, we get. It's annoying that we've got different editions of these books.
Sorry, man.
That's not your fault.
No,
it's things like Jan goes to the bedroom to fetch the laptop. As she opens the door, we catch a glimpse of Frankie's body lying on the floor. We don't really get that. We don't have like these little bits throughout the episode where we see him, and in a little bit later it says we see Frankie through a crack in the door. Instead, it's just frosted glass. Mm-hmm. I don't know why.
I was going to say, is that just a difference between how they imagined it and then how it worked out on the day?
Like it was planned out. And I guess if you end up filming in a house and there is that frosted glass door, you may go, you know what? Yeah. We don't need to see a dead body.
Yeah.
It's fine. We can just use frosted glass and kind of like outlines.
Yeah, and I suppose there's something about not seeing him and the kind of how that translates to the fact that nobody has actually gone back to properly look at him. They've just sort of left him there.
Completely absorbed by the idea of making some money.
And the most frightening thing is the fact that he's alive. When they scream later on, that's suddenly this harrowing moment of like, oh shit, he's not actually dead. It's like, guys, I think you've lost all perspective here. That's might be a good thing that he's not dead. Like he hasn't at no point have you thought he's a zombie or a vampire. So
that's Actually, on that, I hadn't twigged the link there. They don't check on him at all. It says in the script when there's the thump in the room when he drops dead, and Graham says, "Let Jan look at him. She's a nurse."
Yeah,
that's dropped, and that was probably a good shout because you're right. She would probably have gone a little bit further.
Yeah, because there's a whole thing, isn't there, of like she does CPR on him.
Yeah.
And I suppose once she's done CPR
completely, he'd probably be back to life.
Yeah, or he can't come back to life. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good... I did circle that as a... I wonder what... Because they don't even say she's a nurse, do they?
No, in fact, they dropped all of the commotion in the room. It kind of just went... The camera just ran out of battery and switched off.
Yeah.
So they got rid of this idea of this crazy stuff going on in the room, Jan going for CPR and stuff like that, and knocking the camera down, and just went there, ran out of battery.
Yeah. And to some degree, I prefer the fact that they don't care. They just sort of give up without having done anything.
And I think there was probably a conversation that went, but if he wakes up later, which is quite a crucial plot point, that's really important, that bit. Yeah. You can lose the CPR as they did.
But he has to wake up.
Because if they had... Yeah, he would have to. I don't think people generally go through that. Or would go through CPR and wake up at the other end of it unless they were...
Like, well, we'll do CPR and then, 15 minutes time, hopefully that will have...
sorted it out.
Yeah. Takes some people a while.
My nurse wife also pointed out that an aneurysm looks very much like a balloon.
Ah.
And when your aneurysm goes, it's like a balloon bursting.
Is it?
Well, yeah, it's like a filled up vessel, isn't it? That goes bang.
Yeah. There you go.
Good choice of
death.
Ailment. Good death choice.
I liked being able to read just before that. There's like the voiceover bits when Tamsin's in with Frankie and like when the death's happening, and you can hear because you can't really hear the conversation, can you? But it's got the voiceover of Graham saying, "So would we be able to get parking passes as well?"
Yeah.
And Sally, I'm not sure about that actually, because it's an absolute bugger to park around there. And with Tamsin's chair, yes, absolutely. Where's that pumper, Graham? I don't know. I couldn't find it.
The pumper thing is just funny all the way through.
The pumper, yeah. It's such a kind of relatable term, and yet it's really like, oh, stop saying that.
There was also another one of their exchanges had that nice Garibaldi specificity in with it. The 4 stolen, what are they?
Oh,
Canderels.
Yeah.
Stolen Canderels.
Definitely.
the more specific,
it hardly
the
matters
funnier
now.
It is.
Yeah. I realised kind of Frankie's, when Frankie first arrives, his some of his little lines are slightly different, because and I don't know whether it was the actor doing that or whether they kind of changed it on the day, but like the little allusion to Make a Wish, and he
because in
the script it just goes straight for Wishmaker, doesn't it? And then
there's a little nod to, yes, we are entirely lifting this.
You know Sally from the Wishmaker charity, don't you? Yeah. So, yeah, there you go. And then the Tamsin, because that's not in the and this is Jasmine through here, Tamsin. And he, in the actual thing, he's like, Tamsin. Yeah. She's obviously...
Graham also calls her Tam Tam.
Yeah.
In the filmed version rather than Tamsin, as it is in the script.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's a lot more Tam Tam in the filmed one.
There's a lot of Tam Tam, yeah.
A lot of Tam Tam. Yeah, I don't know why they decided. Is it more? Is it sound more pitying? I don't really know.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah.
Well, Tam Tam,
because she really is like just an incidental character in all of this, and it's just, yeah, it's kind of. It's horror. It's a really horrible episode. Yeah, and I think we talked, didn't we, about like, you know, is this a family who's kind of been kind of driven to breaking point, you know, to give them a kind of a sympathetic, compassionate reading of it, and like this is their one glimpse of hope for something or whatever, because actually, you know, caring for Tamsin is taking its toll, and it's a really difficult life for all of them. And the fact that, you know, obviously she's not got many birthdays left and all of that. But
now they might get to go to Disneyland.
Not the froggy one.
The proper one, not the froggy one.
And yeah. And it's like, I don't know, I think that's just being generous, because in the context of, I guess, Stephen Reese's typical Middle England settings in stuff that they do, it is that kind of the dark underbelly again of what goes on in those suburban settings, and the just the emptiness. I just really felt that emptiness and like vacuousness of this whole situation. It's like, just there's nothing here. There's no life. There is no life here.
No, there's not. And Graham is not a particularly pleasant human being, and he gets less and less pleasant as the situation goes on. I did notice that he trying to ingratiate himself with Sai. Yeah. They didn't mention the little street handshake at the end. That's not in the script.
What is in the script is True Dat, which gets replaced. But that's Sai who says that, which made me think. I feel like Steve and Reese have written some street scripting. Yeah. It's like when they actually tried it in kind of the actual, you know, proper setting, it was like, yeah, that guys, you're a bit out of touch there.
Still kept in there the cool, thanks, man.
I love the looks after that. Like, yeah, it's really nicely like the way that's shot, and everybody's like, no, ridiculous.
There was also a change in the music.
Yeah, One Day in Your Life
that they chose
instead of More Than Anyone.
And the when he came back to life, that repeated line, come back to me," was originally "Live for Today." I think it was a positive switch. Mm-hmm. It was probably a good call.
Yeah,
it felt better.
Yeah, when I read that and heard, when I was listening, I was like, yeah, no, they've made the right choice there. "Come Back to Me" feels more subtly relevant, and then the fact that it's like, yeah, no, we're just going to kill him,
which begs the question: did they have a pre-recorded Frankie Parsons album with various
Do you
tracks
think more
on
than
it to
anyone
pick
has
from.
been recorded and it is a part of the...
Well, I don't know. They clearly had something in mind they were going to hit play on.
Yeah. I mean, it like, in terms of that middle of the road, inane, what do they call it? Like gospel, don't they? But
Yeah. It doesn't feel like gospel.
no, but it's strongly written in terms of representing that genre and, you know, being...
Oh, completely.
I don't know who wrote
Middle-of-the-road.
the songs, but yeah.
No. It feels like they could exist.
Definitely. Yes, as I said, who did I think it was? Who did it remind me of? John Barrowman.
John Barrowman, yes.
Barrowman.
John the Barrow Man.
Or Wheelie.
As they call him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a huge amount to say about this episode, to be honest.
No.
The other thing I thought was, you know, that the interaction Extra-National Garden Day between...
I don't know about anyone else listening to this, but I still think that's funny.
Between Jan and Tamsin, when she's asking about how many birthdays do I have left. We don't know.
They mixed some stuff up, didn't they? Dropped some information out.
Lots and lots, we hope. Yeah. Because, the bit, so Tamsin says, I liked Frankie, he was nice. And Jan says, was he? I never really got the chance to talk to him properly. And then Tamsin asks to hear some of his music. Of course you can, sweetheart. I've got all his CDs, you know that. I went with your Auntie Irene to see him at Wembley. Do you remember? And that's all cut out, which I'm quite glad about. That does seem like... I'm not sure.
Have they been sat listening to some of his music just then? Before they went outside?
I think so. Yeah.
So it'd be a bit weird to ask if she could hear some of his music.
True. Yeah, because they listened to... Well, not Bermuda Love Triangle. Feel You Up, Feel You Down.
Rocky. Is that the one where he tried to rap?
That's the one.
I don't like it, Sally. He uses language. Yes, shit. I'd forgotten. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's when they put One Day in Your Life on.
Not more than anyone.
Yeah, and Tamsin sat there listening to it. And her face is brilliant during that. Because it's just like... It's so just numbed. It's like not there. It's... Yeah. And then in comes
She's
Graham.
numb.
Yeah, she's numb.
You know what she needs? She's to go on a quest.
She does need to go on
a quest for a pebble.
Pebble of non-numbness. She probably needs a wee. Take her for a wee. Go and find the pebble of non-numbness. Yeah. So that was right to cut all of that out.
I'm sure they really appreciate you.
I can confirm.
Reese is listening right now going, yes, vindicated.
Yeah,
he's phoning Steve as we speak. I told you it was the right decision.
The guys thought it was right.
You told me it should stay, but I knew I was right. Listen to Andy.
P.S. I've got a great idea for a new adventure series called in Search of the Pebble of Non-Numbness.
Get this.
Yeah, it was the end of that little interaction that confused me, because Jan looks at Tamsin teary-eyed and takes a hand, and that there is an element with Jan of being a little bit emotional, but there's also, she doesn't do that. She doesn't take a hand, I don't think, and she doesn't.
No.
I think it's important that she's not massively emotionally, like her emotional investment is in her disappointment that she hasn't had her moment. It's not nothing to do with Tamsin.
But if you think back to the spin you were putting on it earlier, I don't know whether they've reached a point now where they're almost feeling like they're emotionally distancing themselves from Tamsin, as awful as that is.
Yeah.
Like when she says, "How many birthdays have I got left?" Oh, hopefully lots. Who you don't sound like you're kidding anyone, right?
Yeah, and I suppose even that response, like lots and lots, we hope. Like it's almost filtered through like this jovial, like you're not thinking about what you're actually saying there. Like you're not emotionally invested in that. Like so,
and I mean,
maybe it is a defense mechanism. Like we're like that they only have one child and she's dying, and this is their way of coping with that situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, we would. Yeah.
Not that if they had more children, it's like, oh, we can sacrifice that. It's fine.
No, yeah, it's fine if you've got more than one, is it? I mean, one of the worst lines in it, the most brutal lines, is when they're talking about the way they're dividing up the money.
Yeah.
And they say that it's not particularly fair if Tamsin gets a share because it's going to make its way back to them quite quickly. And that is a horrible, brutal line. Yeah, not pleasant.
Yeah. That's when
you and your wife are going to be sitting on 3/5 between the two of you, and Simon and I don't think that's particularly fair, do we?
Yeah, to bring Simon into it. Simon doesn't disagree. Yeah. That's not the bit where he says that's the most offensive thing I've ever heard?
No, that's...
It's Sally. Sally is the worst character, actually.
And that's, yeah. You went from Switzerland to Nazi Germany in one fell goose step.
Yeah.
Where is the most offensive thing he's ever heard? Because that is a good line. No offence.
No offence?
No offence. That's the most offensive thing I've ever heard. What has she said?
Oh, I noticed there was another great little simile in the stage directions on International Spare Room Day. Graham and Si enter the room. Graham carries the balloon with two hands, like a baby with a full nappy.
Yes.
And I was thinking, is he carrying it like he's the baby with the full nappy? Or is the balloon the baby with the full nappy?
You now imagining
Steve
Pemberton dressed as a giant baby.
Waddling along.
I mean, they've got form in directing people to be dressed as giant babies.
Exactly.
So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that that's what they meant.
Exactly. Yeah, I've no idea where that no offence bit. Oh, there it is. He had a brain aneurysm. He's a vegetable. He'll spend the rest of his life bedbound, eating through a straw and shitting into a bucket. What kind of life is that? No offence.
No offence.
Oh yeah, part of me was wondering whether, because Graham's response there with the no offence stuff seemed a bit like, Graham, look, you're a pretty deplorable bloke. Like this, you've suddenly got a moral compass where there's a line that you're not willing to sort of go beyond or whatever. And actually that fits with, what we're kind of saying before about the defense mechanism, the fact that maybe there is this, we're creating a story or offsetting or building a wall, offsetting our true emotions and coping in this other space. And actually he is highly offended by that because that is what they've been living with, kind of like the fact that she's then said no offense is almost a judgment of...
I think, the point there is that she's kind of suggested that someone whose life is like that is not living a life that's actually worth existing in.
And then so therefore, the no offense,
your daughter
is, and that's, that's what I see when I look at your daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is horrific.
Yeah,
like she is the worst.
She's
character.
vile. I mean, that story later on where it starts with that heartwarming thing of her favourite one being the little girl who just wanted to post a letter, but then drops down dead, and the press were all over it. It's just absolutely vile.
Yeah. So up yours, whatever. What's his name? Nigel.
Need to check International Kitchen Day.
Oh, Nigel.
Yes, up yours, Nigel.
Yeah, that's a brilliantly. That's a really great bit of script because, yeah, in terms, it's just a classic joke, really, isn't it? Like to set something up in one way,
yeah, exactly,
and then to just subvert it and then bang.
I mean, I think Tamsin Greig was a brilliant casting choice. She plays this sort of character really, really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she does. She does.
I'd also, for some reason, decided in my head that Tamsin had just let the balloon go at the end. I mean, it wasn't attached to anything.
No, she's quite resourceful.
Thinking, as we were heading towards that final scene, I was thinking, hang on a minute. She sends this balloon out the window and it floats off. But it's not a helium balloon.
It's going downwards. But no.
And it would just go downwards. But no, she had outfoxed me.
She's a very resourceful young lady.
She is. She found a helium balloon. Why they weren't just using... there's a helium balloon lying around the house. That's just... I guess that was one they decided to buy for the birthday.
It was Chekhov's helium balloon.
It's Chekhov's helium balloon. Is that in there at the beginning?
Yeah, it's by her bed at the start.
Ah.
I think it's her
Chekhov's
favourite
helium
balloon. Chekhov's balloon.
Favourite balloon?
Yeah. Heart balloon.
Well, it's difficult to get attached to a balloon, isn't it?
Well, she attached Frankie Parsons.
She did.
I keep wanting to call him Frankie Boyle, but it's not Frankie Boyle.
He hasn't got any middle-of-the-road hit albums. I mean, my little one had a favourite helium balloon.
Yeah.
And as soon as she saw it was a favourite helium balloon, I suddenly realised this thing has a finite lifespan.
It's the worst thing to attach to as a child.
Which is why I have 5 identical ones in a drawer to be inflated at any given time.
Is that the right approach? No. You've got to teach her about death.
Although, no, but the thing is that I'm the idiot here because that was about 6 months ago and we got a second one sorted. That was blown up. That went down. We didn't get any more blown up. She's forgotten about it. She's moved on.
But you're still attached to these balloons.
I've got 4 helium balloons sat in a drawer with no helium. So who's the mug here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I do know if I can get one of them filled and a pop star happens to die in my household whilst breathing into a balloon, I can let that thing go and it will fly away.
I'll promise never to breathe into a balloon when I'm in your house then.
Where do you lie? Somewhere? Where are you on the Nelson Mandela Robbie Williams scale? Where do you sit on that? I don't think I even
make it to...
who's the bottom end of the scale? Who's the
top end? I'm not even a Barrow man. I'm nowhere near Barrow man. Oh, good. Yeah. It reminded me when I was reading the bit where they start blowing up purple balloons as like, right, we're going to do a purple balloon farm because we can make loads of money from purple balloons. Of that original thing that I thought there was something about the purple balloons where they're like, there's poison on them or there's something wrong with the purple balloons.
Okay.
I was like, that's so far from what happens. It's crazy to think that even went through my head. I was just reminded of it. Like, I just made a note when Sally says, I've gone all lightheaded. And Graham's like, stretch it first. And then she says, I'm seeing stars. She's like, double entendre. She is. She's kind of seeing stars.
Thank you for your inner monologue. Yeah.
And that was the point at which I was like, she's dying as well. She's going to die here. And I was like, that is not what this story's about.
She'd be nowhere near Barrowman.
What would she be?
Awful. Just on a scale of awful to
As a connector of
Nelson Mandela.
celebrities and the public. Who connects celebrities and the public?
I don't know.
No, let's not get ourselves like some libel. Our Patreon's not doing well enough.
Imagine starting a Patreon just to hopefully amass enough money to cover legal fees.
We can start letting
celebrities. I mean, we don't have a Patreon, but we can set up some way of linking if you'd like to donate to our future legal fund. Thing is, this episode is, I think I think we said last time that it's better than I think is initially being given credit for being. Mm-hmm. It's whatever that sentence meant.
Made sense.
There's such like a dark undertone to the shiny happy Middle England family who definitely aren't shiny and happy because of their daughter's illness. And just you get to see the worst of humanity, really, and what people will do for money. They will actually kill someone.
Yeah.
Not just let him die, actually kill him.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel sorry for, what's his name? Steve's character? Graham. Because he's bought into, when they're like tossing the coin to see who has to do it. He's bought into the fact that he believes he has to do it if he loses that coin toss. Coin toss. And it's like if you get the raw end of that deal, just say no. Like you don't have to do it. Like it's like if the value that you place on Frankie's life is genuinely higher than the value that you place on that balloon, you don't have to go and kill him. It's fine.
But in his head, he's already spent that money.
Not going to Disneyland.
Not the froggy.
He's not going to Disneyland, though. That's a promise that he can't keep, according to Jan.
Doesn't. Yeah.
Why is that?
He doesn't necessarily need to keep.
Why is it a promise that he can't keep?
Because she may not be able to travel. Because Tam Tam
Okay.
is not well enough to travel to Florida.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Cool. Well, on that happy note.
That was bleak, wasn't it?
Yeah. Next week we'll be looking at the understudy. So.
Brush up on your Shakespeare, ladies and gents.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing what's different in the script with that one. Yeah. That's what we do.
That's what this is now.
Great.
Spot the difference.
Right. Let's leave it there.
Cool.
Do get in touch if you've got anything to add to this. If you've got the script book yourself and have noticed anything interesting of note that we've missed, we'd love to hear from you. quietnightinside09@gmail.com or get in touch on Twitter @AQNIN9. Lovely. You all right, mate?
I'm fine.
You're grinning at me there.
Just waiting for you to. Well, I was just glad that you didn't start going down the rabbit hole of digit nines and spelling things.
Don't go there, mate. Cool. Have a good week, everybody. Speak to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.